California Congressman Kevin Kiley. Congressman, what do you say to a former member of Congress, now the LA Mayor Karen Bass, about her comments on those ICE raids last night?
Her comments and Governor Newsom's are the height of irresponsibility. What we're looking at here is standard targeted immigration enforcement. They're looking for folks who have criminal convictions or who have existing deportation orders. This has been done by ICE for a long time across different administrations. President Obama deported millions of people. And so what exactly are they saying ICE should do if it needs to find these people? Actually, one good idea, one good change is if they stop being a sanctuary city and California stop being a sanctuary state, then you could actually have immigration authorities take custody of people under the least disruptive and safest of circumstances, which is when they are already in custody, subject to a detainer. But no, California insists on being a sanctuary state. LA insists on getting extra credit and making itself a sanctuary city on top of being a sanctuary state. And then they complain when ICE has to go out and actually find people in the community.
So as long as California is a sanctuary state and LA is a sanctuary city, isn't this kind of battling going to continue?
Well, that's right, is that when they refuse to to respect a detainer request or to cooperate with federal immigration authorities, and they say, well, you're on your own, and they are trying to find someone who poses a danger to public safety, then they have to find them in the community. And ICE is trying to do this in the least disruptive, most targeted way. But when you have protesters who are showing up and who are actively interfering with them, who are physically blocking them, and who perhaps worst of all are doing so seemingly with the encouragement and the blessing of the likes of the mayor and the governor, that makes things a lot more difficult. And these sort of scenes that we're seeing right now are entirely a result of those who have chosen to behave in a lawless manner.
Let's turn our attention to the battle going on between the White House and Harvard University. The Secretary of Education.
Yeah, they start talking about something else I don't really want to talk about right now. All right, so you can look at the most recent video that they just dropped. I believe News Nation dropped one recently while I talk about this.
Yeah, I found something.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got something new like an hour ago.
Okay. Well, before we get to that, let me read this really quick. So I don't know if this guy's a current. Can you Google really quick if that guy that was just on is still a congressman of California, or if he's no longer, or senator? I think he's a senator, or was a senator. I think they said former, but I wasn't sure. You can confirm that really quick. So while you're doing that, so he brought up something really important, and it's something that people gloss over. So I'm going to bring it back. During Obama's regime, because that's what I like to call them, it's the regime changes, right, from one president to the next. Sometimes presidents, there's not much of a change, but from Obama to Trump, there was a massive regime change. However, during the first years of Obama, they did massive deportations, and yet there was no fight with liberal states and cities when it came to this. So we're gonna fact check it. From 2008 to 2014, they cooperated. There was no issues. The issues started from 2014 to 2017. So in 2014, they started cooperating less, saying that there was legal challenges and that it's an infringement on civil rights. And then from 2015 to 2017, it was more selective. Obama created this program called the PEP program. Let's see what that stands for here. Priority Enforcement Program, more focused on deporting recent border crossers, convicted criminals, national security threats, which is what we are focusing on right now. I keep saying we as if I'm part of the administration, but the Trump administration, I support it. That's why I'm saying we. The Trump administration, that's literally what they're doing right now, is they're focusing on people that crossed the border recently, convicted criminals, and national security threats. They're focusing on that. However, they still have to focus on people that have order for removal and have not actually removed themselves from the country. They should also focus on those people because there's immigration laws And if you have a court order to be removed and you ignore that, then you are violating immigration laws. So if you really want to stay here, the last thing you should be doing is going against your own laws. Follow the law and then come back legally. I know it takes time, but the reality is you have to follow the law if you want to live in a law and order country. It is a privilege to live here. It is not a right to live here. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have in society, is that a lot of people on the left, in the middle, really believe that people from all areas, from all locations, have a right to come here, and they don't. We don't have a right or a stake in this country. You have to earn your way into the country. It is a privilege to live here legally and then eventually become an American citizen. That is not a right. And I don't understand why during Obama's term there was cooperation for a while. From 2008 to 2014, that's a couple years we're talking, that there was no fight back. There was no butting heads. They were cooperating with the federal government. So why is it that now it's different when we are literally doing the same thing the Obama administration did? The same thing. There's no, the only difference is that we are video recording it, because this is a time where everything is recorded. Literally everything. So that might be the only difference. Obama's administration wasn't literally recording themselves arrest, migrants, but it doesn't change the fact that there's numbers of how many migrants were deported, and it was over 3 million migrants. So if that happened then why can it happen now? What is the difference? The difference is that there's a president in office named Donald J. Trump, and people don't like him. And because they don't like him, for whatever reason, I don't really see why you would allow your emotions to get to you to that point where you're literally fighting an administration that's literally trying to do the same thing a Democrat administration did over 10 years ago. It doesn't make sense to me. It just shows that there's massive hypocrisy when it comes to this issue, because this has already happened before under a different administration, and there was cooperation between states that are liberal states, liberal cities, and the federal government. I don't get it. If you guys can explain that to me, that would be fabulous, because I really don't understand.